What are the 20 things that Pinterest predicts are going to be the biggest trends in business in 2025? If you haven't had a chance to check out the Pinterest Predicts report, then stay tuned in this episode and I will talk through all of the hot trends that they are saying should explode in 2025 and think through how we can incorporate that into our Etsy and e-com businesses. Hey, I'm Rebecca Boland. Welcome back to Etsy and Ecom with the Professional Mom, a brand new podcast in 2025, talking through, you guessed it, all things Etsy and other e-commerce platforms that Etsy has opened the door to me as a self-taught mompreneur. And I am paying it all forward, sharing the information, and hopefully connecting with a few of you out there that kind of need another mompreneur pal in their corner because, let's face it, there are not enough of us out there. In this week's episode, I know we are already mid-January and technically this podcast hasn't even launched yet, but I want to make sure that aside from getting to know who I am and why I want to talk through Etsy and why I want to start this podcast, I want to make sure that you know this show intends to provide value to you and help you get some insights into being able to start and scale your business, which really circles around capitalizing on trends before they explode. Like, how do we become an early mover? How do we catch which trends are at the beginning of their upward rise, as opposed to jumping on the train as it's leaving the station? Well, that is not an easy short answer, but in this episode, I can at least give you kind of the consolidated sneak peek because every year, Pinterest has been producing a really great Pinterest Predicts report that they make public to us to review which trends they expect to do incredibly well in all facets of just kind of fashion trends and decor, which all means you can find a way to incorporate those into whatever it is you are making and selling. So without much ado, I'm going to jump right in. And those of you who haven't had a chance to see the report or didn't know about it, or honestly, I had forgotten about it, so I was grateful that another podcaster had reminded me. I wanted to just jump right in and pull this out for you. And that way, those of you, especially who are listening in your car or as you're multitasking something else, can learn this information. And then later, when you do have time to work on your business, you can go straight to the designing and creating, and you don't have to go back and read the whole report. So there are 20 specific trends that Pinterest Predicts has pulled out for us in 2025. Number one, we've got cherry coated. We are saying that Gen Z and millennials are going to infuse cherries into their makeup, menus, mood boards. So they're talking cherry coated, yes, the fruit, yes, in food, but also as a color, also into makeup, nail polishes, decor. So when you are thinking about designing, think about rich red colors pulled into your designs. Even in your mock-ups or your listing photos, if you have jewelry, even having something like a pop of red lipstick on the woman who is showing off the necklace or earrings will show that you are on trend, and it'll make your item stand out as fashion forward above some of the other competitors. And I'm not going to read all of the trending search terms, but below each one of these, Etsy pulls out 5 specific terms and tells you how much growth they've seen year over year, which has led to the data. When I talk about how I love data and storytelling, it's the data that has led them to create the story. So I'll just do this for cherry so you understand. But if you go into the report, they kind of make it bold and clear to say, hey, cherry vibe is a search term that's up 325% over last year. Cherry bedroom is 100%. Cherry car, 270%. Cherry martini, 80%. Dark cherry red, 235%. All of these have grown so much year over year that just those searches alone is what allows Pinterest analysts to look at it as a collective and say, wow, All of these are a little bit different. I mean, they all say the word cherry, yes, but it could be for car, it could be for bedroom decor, it could be for a cherry martini, so actual food and drink. But in general, all of those things are adding up to this cherry coated theme. So take that as you will. Keep your mind open to the opportunities, how to incorporate that, and think like that as you hear all of the other terms. So I will go through all the other ones faster, but that gives you a sense of how to take each of these, not super literally, but in different ways that work with what you're already selling. So number 2 is Aura Beauty. And with that, they are saying it's the year of the makeup mood ring. So essentially, it's looking like it is having a kind of vibrant color and then using it like makeup wise all over your face. So from chin to cheek. So if you're putting purple as blush and as lip and as eye color, it's this very bright, vivid color. And you can look up the terms that say purple blush makeup. So obviously, if you're in makeup or fashion realm, that's something you can use in your photos, in your mock-ups, in your product line. And if you're not, maybe it's the color purple. Maybe you use gradients options. There are going to be different ways that this reflects in different product lines. Third, we've got Rococo Revival. I have to admit, I have heard of Rococo, but I could not have pictured it without looking at the images. But it is a late Baroque period, so it was opulence, but ultra feminine. So think classic corset gowns, really luxe accessories, ornate tablescapes. I'm thinking that this might be lace. It looks like there's a lot of just opulence and a lot of femininity. Some of the interesting trends that this is showing up in is in a wedding style, a wedding theme, and in cakes and other parties. So if you are not in fashion, but you are in wedding or event planning or sign making or design, that is something that you can look into trying to add into the mix. The next trend is sea witchery, which kind of makes me laugh. It's not my thing, so I don't get it, but it is clearly a total vibe that people are loving. And like this says, it is so much more than seashells and starfish. Sultry siren makeup, wet wavy hair, moody mermaid manicures. So I think this sounds like it's tying in a little bit of that kind of witchy, celestial witchy trends that has been doing really well, and tying in a little bit more of the ocean vibes, which you will hear more about very soon. But looking at it, it's also really thinking about it, that aura, like purple aesthetic. So it almost feels like it's tying together, blending a few of these trends, which is definitely something that we will talk tons about on this podcast. The next trend is surreal soirees. And here we are thinking kind of out of this world, does not look real, the word surreal. We've got curvy candlesticks, fantastical flowers, and gravity-defying centerpieces. Even the picture here kind of reminds me a little bit of like a fancy, crazy, modern twist on like an Alice in Wonderland, animalistic topiaries, while she's wearing a huge, gorgeous dress that becomes the tablecloth. I honestly don't have enough words to try to explain this, but something like curvy candlesticks and gravity-defying centerpieces should get your brain kind of thinking about how you can take that, especially if you're artistic, especially if you understand different art styles, which I cannot admit that I am great at, but being able to either incorporate the style, or if you are in the candle making business, this is something that you absolutely want to jump on ASAP. All right, so I've clearly stopped numbering as I say these, because as I read them, my brain just starts running, and I start jotting down my own little notes about how I can incorporate these into my business. So forgive me, there's no consistency in counting, but just trust me that there's 20 eventually. And whatever number we are on, it is castle core. And I love that we're just adding core to the names of different fashion trends lately. We'll have, again, future episodes. We'll talk about things that have been trending and how to find those. But, we had cottage core, now there's weird core, but now there's castle core. And it's like it sounds. You've got medieval is having a major moment in 2025. People are taking fashion trends from ancient castles, and it's a lot of Gothic inspired, but not just in wearing straight black. It's kind of got a little bit of chainmail styling to it. A lot of it is medieval. Yes, chainmail. One has castle house plans is up on the rise. But outside of that, there's even a search term, antique ruby ring. So we're thinking flashbacks and kind of this Gothic medieval. But again, think more broadly, something like antique ruby ring. Think about what gems would have been popular, what jewels would have been popular, what phrases maybe would have been popular. And again, find a way to incorporate those, even if you don't make specific jewelry or boots, or you don't currently make, chainmail corsets or whatever, like most of us probably do not. Okay, the next trend is dolled up. And of course, here we're thinking a tiny but mighty dollhouse style. This is probably still following on the popularity of Barbie a lot, but we had a lot of pink Barbie inspired things, and this looks like it's gonna kind of keep on that Barbie-ish trend, but maybe not so much pink. Maybe now we just kind of turn it into, they say, baby doll makeup, kind of cutesy room ideas, little charms and whimsical colors, but a little bit mini, a little bit more doll-like. Okay, if you've stuck with me this far, then thank you so much. And your reward is going to be the ocean part that I told you we'll talk about again, because I think this one is going to be really, really huge in 2025. I have already seen influencers talking about this. Out of this whole list of 20, this is the one that I'm most excited about, maybe because I kind of actually like it, maybe because I'm trying to move on it early as well and just hopeful. But if you have stayed with me, then here is your sign to jump online and get invested in this trend now as well. And this trend is the fisherman aesthetic. Now, when we say that, it does not mean trying to sell gifts or clothing to fishermen. These are not making tumblers that say, hooked on you with a fishing pole or whatever. This is kind of old seafaring, I almost think like European, Grecian, kind of classic fisherman vibe when I look at how they're trying to describe this. So this aesthetic is pulling in kind of this cool, easygoing, laid-back vibe, but a maritime attitude. And it's taking like cable knit sweaters, stripes, fishing net aesthetics, and then sardines. I think sardines are already popping up everywhere. This is saying sardine tattoos. Some of the terms people are looking for are fisherman sandals, raincoat outfit aesthetics, a fish bag, and yes, sardine tattoos. So think about pulling all of those together. Again, this one is one that I am still trying to spend a lot of time researching and delving into and figuring out how to do right. But for 20 cents a listing and being at the very beginning of this potentially huge trend, is it really that big of a risk? You willing to spend $5-10 to hope that with 50 listings you can figure out how to make sardines and stripes in the right way? That's again, make it a game, make it something fun and funny. Obviously, we don't always know what's going to take off and why. Some of the most popular bestsellers I look at and roll my eyes, but guess what? That could have been the listing that you made after a glass of wine or 3 and laughed at and thought was dumb, and somebody else posted it and won the business. So, again, like progress over perfection, just get it posted. All right, up next, we are talking a trend of goddess complex. Here we have golden everything. It looks very divalicious. They are selling it as go all in on your feminine power. You're going to be just dripping in gold facials, goddess braids, sublime nail designs. Yes, they've found the trend goddess core here. Like I said, just kind of find a trend, throw the word core on the end. I think that's one good way to kind of get your search engine optimization for a lot of the trends. But we have divine beauty, goddess energy. So Again, doesn't necessarily have to be something golden that you are selling. If you do have physical products, make sure you have a gold listing option and make sure you are kind of finding the right terms. Don't just call it a gold lamp, call it a goddess complex lamp or whatever the ultimate, popular terms become for this. But if you don't sell something gold or if it's not physical product, let's think about goddess energy aesthetic. So I might go out there and make a shirt that says in my goddess era. We know that the in my era trend is huge. So in my goddess era, in my golden era, and it could be maybe not a bachelorette shirt. They probably have that trademarked, but you see where my brain is thinking with this. All right, reeling it back in from my shiny object syndrome, we are going to the next trend, Rebel Floats. A sweet taste of nostalgia, but with a fearless twist. So it's funny, if you have seen Happy Days, think of that like quaint soda fountain feel, but like with Fonzie wearing his leather jacket and looking super edgy mixed together. We've got, old school soda pop, but anything that's not traditional. And then of course it says top it off with a cherry if you dare, kind of giving a nod to that cherry callback from trends number 1. So here we've got a cream soda aesthetic. Now, I don't know what you do with that. I can't just off the top of my head give you some examples like I have with the other ones. So that's going to do some research. But you've got cream soda, root beer aesthetic, soda drink recipes, homemade soda, fruit soda. So maybe people are looking for ways to kind of create things at home. Maybe more people bought those soda streams. I honestly haven't looked into this specifically. But if you are in any kind of a baking niche, cooking niche, it says aesthetic, so maybe even wall art, you just never know what's going to take off. Maybe this is stemming from a craze from pulling away from liquor and next generation trying to do more of a non-alcohol lifestyle. So take this again with a grain of salt, but also take it as like an out-of-the-box thinking exercise. Like, why is this trending? Who is it trending for? And what else could it be hinting at that I can act on, if not this exact trend? Okay, that was 10, and I feel like I've been talking forever. So I am actually going to go ahead and break this into 2 parts for my benefit and for yours so that we can both kind of take a break, soak in all of that information, let all 10 of those kind of linger in our head and see what kind of ideas we can come up with. If you did find that helpful, then definitely make sure to subscribe and catch the next episode where I will talk through the remaining 10 trends that Pinterest predicts for 2025. That's a tongue twister. For Pinterest predicts 2025. And I'll talk through some more ideas that come to mind and how you can incorporate them in digital, physical, print on demand. And luckily for you, honestly, I don't think you'll even have to wait for that episode because since we are launching in 2025 and I'm pre-recording some of these so you can get your binge on, if you will, just again, make sure if you liked it, make sure you do hit subscribe because my future episodes will be jam-packed with ideas. But out of these 10 takeaways, I would love to hear what you are most excited about or what you think is going to be the top one of all of those. You can contact me at hi@theprofessionalmom.com. You can always say hi for any reason, and you can always shoot me some questions. But if you are just wanting to chat and kind of shoot the breeze from one Etsy-preneur to another, send me a message about what you are thinking. It sounds like it could do really, really well this year out of those first 10. So we've got Cherry Coated, Aura Beauty, Rococo Revival, Sea Witchery, Surreal Soirees, Castlecore, Dolled Up, Fisherman Aesthetic, Goddess Complex, and Rebel Floats. What of those either inspires you? What are you interested in? Like, what kind of cool ideas are you coming up with? I promise I won't give them all away on my podcast unless you want me to or you want to come on and talk about it. But until then, please hit subscribe. Really help the show to grow. I would really love to inspire other people to jump onto Etsy and to just give it a try. Give yourself the option to just play, have fun, break out your creative side. And if it grows into something bigger, then that's amazing. That's fantastic. And if you don't want it to, then it doesn't have to. But until that next episode, which hopefully is right around the corner, then have a great one and catch you next time. Goodbye.